What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today, Bancroft will be joining you all with the game to bring you another deck profile. But not just any other deck profile, but I'm bringing back set 10 Yamcha. Super excited to kind of bring this deck back. So before we get into it, like always, just buttons down below. Feel free to click up the there for a reason. But let's get to this deck. So, this is one of those decks where we're pretty much done going, at least I'm pretty much done going over all the archetypes from the previous set. I am going to go back over, actually, Beerus and Blue Weeze one more time, because I don't have profiles for those up on the channel just yet. But we were talking to Discord, me, Jake, and Jimmy, and I was like, or someone brought up the idea of burning a damage using the Vegeta Secret Rare, and somehow this leader came up, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to make it. So I did. If you're not familiar with this leader, what's great about this leader is its ability on its swing to add a card to your hand. Yeah, it's when a leader swings, they add a card next to your hand. Well, this one, you look up the top two cards of your deck, add one red card among them to your hand, then place your remaining cards in your drop area. And this card also gains 5,000 power for the turn. So it's a 15k swing, which isn't bad. But most importantly is that up to 2. So if you know your matchup, you know what you're playing against, you kind of look at the first card, look at the second card, you get to add the card you need to your hand. The only downside about this, and we kind of talked about this during my match against Fluff that dropped on Monday, your opponent also knows what you're adding to your hand. So it becomes a game of like, okay, they know what I'm playing, they're knowing what to expect, so what's my best opportunity, or best chances of offsetting that? And I feel like even with the amount of draws this deck operates, them knowing that still kind of did make a difference. So, when your life is 5 or less, you can awaken, resend 1, draw 1, which is pretty cool, like waking at 5 instead of 4. And once you're awakened, you have the exact same auto on swing. Look up top 2 cards of your hand, add 1 red card among them, place the remaining card in your drop area, plus 5k for the turn. But now, if you have a red Unison card in play, when your opponent takes damage from a non-keyword skill from your battle cards or Unison, deal 1 damage to your opponent, then negate the skill for game. So it's just a one-time kind of free damage, which is pretty cool. Ideal turn 1, and yeah, it's a charge target. I want to charge this card. I want to see a red-green card, preferably this one, and just be able to charge it turn 1. That way from here on out, if I find another Broly, I'm good to go on charging. Another option, if I go second, is the Vegeta oh my gosh, whatever. It's the really good blocker, dual attack Vegeta from set 15. What makes this card so good is that if your opponent has 5 or fewer cards in their hand, you negate this card energy exhaust skill in all areas. So potentially you could charge this turn 1 if you go second, and it's in active mode instead of being in rest mode. Secondary, if you just try to play this card, you draw 1 card. Now you don't get this other auto because your leader has to be green, which is fine, but it's a dual attack. That's 16k, so for 2 energy to draw a card and then just apply additional pressure is never a bad thing, in my opinion. You can also just swing once and then have the other leave it standing for a block your opponent's next turn. That's kind of turn 1 plays. Just charge a card, get it out there. Following up with our turn 2 plays, always trying to get this Unison on board as soon as possible. This Unison falls into what I want to do with this deck. Where I am a prison player, I like to have battle card control. So this Unison is really good at that. When your opponent activates a counter skill, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, 15,000 power or less, and KO it. So it can get rid of a lot of 15k or less battle cards, or even 1-drops are on the board that can potentially stop you from playing part of your chain. Plus 1 draw a card, which is pretty cool. -2 we don't really ever use, but you can use in this deck because there's a lot of 3 or less battle cards with really decent attack powers. For example, but activate main, choose 1 of your red battle cards with energy cost 3 or less. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards with power less than or equal to the chosen card. KO them, and then this card gains rejuvenate with return, which you should remove 2 more markers, and then you can do it, which is pretty cool. But you do need a card underneath it to do rejuvenate. And to help with the whole keeping my opponent's board kind of clear, if they happen to establish battle cards and swing with them, we play 3 Wolfing Fists in the list. They're pretty much free if you have this Unison, which is pretty nice. And because people like playing cards with skills now, or if they manage to maintain cards on board, we play 4 Yamcha Marshall's Barrage. It's a 3-drop 15k battle card, but Counterplay, negs 2 cards by 15,000 power. The downside about this is that if your opponent plays a card outright, and normally there's no time window 2, so this will not hit that card coming into play. So typically you want to do this if your opponent's playing cards with skills, which most cards do that now. Or if your opponent potentially has a massive board, then you can play some potential on that third card, take out the other 2 problem cards. And since we're talking about negging cards, I'm going to kind of go with some of my extra cards that kind of do that for me. 3 after images. I mean, we are talking about already counterplays and negates. Might as well get it out of the way. If you're not familiar with after image, if you have 5 cards in your drop area, you can play this by taking a life, which is pretty cool. This leader can make that happen very quickly with its auto also. Or you can just pay 1 energy for it. It just negs a battle card by 10k for the turn, and then your leader gets it, or the red card you choose, or sorry, choose to one of your cards, it gets plus 40,000 power for duration of battle. So they swing, you go no. That's pretty much how it works. For board control purposes in red, you play 2 of the Kaioken Son Gokus. You can either play it and it will just KO all 20,000 powers or less. Doesn't get past barrier, which is fine because it has an active made for 2 red energy, where you just kind of pitch it from your hand and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, and it gets minus 25,000 power for target. So it can snipe really problematic cards or potentially go for a whole board. And for counterplays, we play 1 exploding weakness in the deck. You play it for 3 energy, and when it's played, your opponent's board gets negged by 20,000 power, and then your leader gets plus 5,000 power for duration of the turn if it's your opponent's turn. So it can come in handy if you play it in your opponent's turn. Pass with 3 open energy, go, all right, cool, make a play. A lot of times when people see that in red, they expect either potentially a topo or exploding weakness or just other cards that go into it. Or since I'm playing red green, they probably expect some form of a rival package. For attack option, I played 2 of the freezes. There are a lot of times in this deck I will pass with 2, if not 3 energy open. And a lot of times, like I said, they'll expect a topo. But where I have the after images, Merciless Barrage, Wolfang Fist, that can just neg cards out just right for me. I have no problem going and comboing with this instead, paying the 2 to play it. Because now once it's established, not only does the Piccolo have a counter control to it, but also this card. When your opponent activates a counter skill, choose to one of their battle cards during barrier, and it gets minus 30,000 power for turn. Potentially having both things on the board could just take care of 2 cards for you. So, going into the arrival package, 3 SSB Gogeta. The 5-drop, obviously, it for 1 great energy, you play it double strike, and on play, it will KO a 4 or less battle card, which is pretty cool. And you can't play him for the turn if he's played as well. So you can't just place 2 on board in the same turn that he's established. But when he is played, it opens the window to play Acrobatic Warrior, which is pretty nice. Kind of want to do it near your opponent's turn, just kind of get these cards established. And what's cool about Acrobatic Warrior, if you're not familiar with him, is that when this card switches to rest mode by Alliance, it deals 1 damage to your opponent. That is the auto that we worry about. That is the auto that goes with the leader's auto, because that's not a keyword skill, so that will proc the leader's ability, and right there is potentially 2 damage if done with the right cards. And before I go for that potentially 3 sniping my opponent's life when they're at 3, I'll play 1 energy for Crown, just to look at my opponent's hand to make sure it's okay to play my next card. And that next card, yes, is Eradicator of Peace. We play it at a 4 of. It is a beautiful card. I don't play a lot of red-green, so when I get a chance to play it finally, I want to somehow incorporate this card, and it works lovely with this leader. So, Eradicator of Peace. Double strike. But Alliance, red-green. If your leader card is red, when this card gains power equal to the total power of cards, switch to rest mode by the skill for the battle. You draw 2 cards, and if your opponent has 3 or more life, you deal 1 damage to them. Like I mentioned, if you rest Acrobatic Warrior, you're doing, you choose the order of your autos. So if your opponent's at 3 life, you activate this one, which will hit a life, tap him, hit a life, because that was an auto. Use the leader's auto to hit the third life. There was one matchup where I managed to pull off this entire combo right here, and it just worked out beautifully. So, hitting your opponent, they go like, they have 3 life. A lot of times, like, okay, cool, sure, negate. And they'll go to take the 2 life. Like, no, it's 3 life now. Like, what? The leader's auto. So, works out great for that instance. Because I'm playing red, I can build up markers. 1 King Piccolo, new roller. Just a free double strike. Yeah. Extra pressure, just in a Champa. If my opponent's on the 1 life and I can't find a way to just hit that life using an auto, we just got further instruction Champa to help give that double strike. If they have 2 life and have no way of hitting those 2 life using my card skills, we just try to apply additional pressure to help get the rivals out. Play 2 Raditz. It's free to combo if you have a multicolored card in your energy, which is pretty nice. If you want to play it, you can. Never seen a reason to do it, but when you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand. You choose up to 1 battle card in their hand. Then you choose one battle card. Then you choose 1 battle card in their hand with 35,000 power or less. Send it to the owner's warp, and this card gains crit for duration turn. It's 4 energy to play. I do not want to play this card. It's pretty much just for combo purposes, because I actually only went with 2 Nappas. So I just wanted to make sure I had ways of comboing off cards I needed a combo to do the arrivals. And I did a 2-2 split on my super combos. So I took the Raditz Saiyan Youth just because it helps with card cycling, so I can see the cards I need to see when I need to see them. A little extra defense package. We do play Topos. We have 2 of them right here. And 2 testings. I mean, it works like I say, you awaken when you're at 5 life. So this is good once you awaken as well. It plays a blocker, which is really nice. And in my matchup against Fluff, my blocker was, of course, my Metal Leader I got that day of. Working on a new list for that one as well. So, shout out TCG Metals. I play 2 Realm of the Gods. Ultra Instinct. Activate battle if you loot a card. And all your energy are red. You choose one of your cards, gets plus 10,000 power for the battle. Then you choose 1. If it's your turn, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy costs greater than their current energy, and it gets minus 30,000 power for a turn. If it's your opponent's turn, you draw 1 card and choose up to one of your cards and gets plus 5,000 power for the battle. So it's either good for a good defensive play where you could draw another card, or it can help you snipe out a big card in your opponent's field. Last but not least, my secret rare, I went with SSB Vegeta. Originally, I went with this one because I misread the auto. So the Activate Main, sorry, not the auto, but Activate Main. The Activate Main says it places the card in the owner's drop area. And unfortunately, if correct, where Yamcha does state it has to be when your opponent takes damage, that's not considered damage because you're just moving from one area to another area. And if I'm correct, that doesn't work with this one. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I wanted to switch it actually out for Frieza Goku, but then when you read the permit here, it doesn't work out because in order to play this for 5 energy, you have to have mono red energy, which won't work with this deck. So there's a lot of other uses you can play, but this one's really pretty, and it is for 4 energy, which negs your opponent's leader by 5,000 power, a triple strike battle card, which can wipe your opponent's board and still get rid of 1 life. So that is the leader. Now, lately we have been doing the best of 1 sideboards. These won't be part of the list, but if you want to see the sideboard, here they are. If I need extra control, 1 extra Exploding Weakness, followed up with 1 extra Wolfang Fist. In case I feel like my opponents are going off a wide deck, it just helps clear their board. If I see a certain green leader, I'll just put hand control there. I mean, just get that shit out of here. 1 Koizukai, if I see it, put it in the drop, and then it helps me cycle more cards. Against other particular wide decks, Corn's Tower, Secret Medicine, kind of like a Senzu Bean. Master Roshi, this is an interesting card. I came across it. I thought it'd be interesting to use. Truth be told, didn't get a chance to use it though. But counter check, if you have a red Unison in play, your opponent can't attack with battle cards with 25,000 power or more for the turn, then play this card. this was kind of interesting. If I recognize they're using a certain deck where I'm like, okay, cool, they're not going to get a lot of big boys out there, but the ones they do get out might be problematic. So just negating with a Master Roshi and then playing this card for a 5k combo afterwards isn't really a bad thing. And sometimes it could be better than using a Violent Ray. Just depending on knowing what the deck is. If you know you're playing against a deck with a lot of 20ks, then just play Violent Ray instead. And also Violent Ray can stop your opponent from swinging of Unisons. And then just for blue hate, it worked out great. It helps control blue, makes them think differently about their turns and how they want to negate certain things. So that was my Yamcha list. Hope you all enjoy that. Keep writing those buttons down below and on the screen. If you want to see a particular deck list, I'm now in the market of making random shit again, so hit me up. And read your cards in your place. Fluff out.